If you like the idea of dividend stocks but hate the idea of waiting forever to get paid those dividends, then this series is for you. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if it's your very first time here. My name is Troy, and in this series, I spend hours doing research to find the hidden gems of the dividend world so you don't have to.
I like this guy.
For example, this week there were 204 stocks that had an ex-dividend date between June 30th and July 4th of 2025. 72 of those stocks showed that they can not only pay, but also grow their dividend for at least 5 consecutive years, and only 29 of those stocks were able to make the risk of investing into individual stocks worth it by also outperforming the S&P 500 over a long period of time. I then took those 29 stocks and picked my 5 favorites to share with you guys today. It's important for you guys to put this series on your calendar and tune in each and every Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, because every single stock from today's video has an ex-dividend date for this coming week, and the ex-dividend date is the date you must own the stock before in order to get paid the next dividend from that company. Now, really quick, before we get to the good stuff, do me a favor and tap on that like button, as that tells YouTube I'm doing good work over here. And now let's kick this week's list off with number 5, which is First Service, stock ticker FSV. Including today's video, this is now the second time I've spoken about this stock right here on my channel, including one selection in a row. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about it, which was in episode 120 or September 27th of 2024, FSV is underperforming and is actually down a little bit since that first mention. But let's see how this one stacks up over the longer term. FSV is a quarterly payer in the real estate sector, paying $1.10 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.64%. FSV has been paying and growing its dividend for the last 9 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 26.69%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 19.92%, and a payout ratio sitting at 17.68%. I'm not really sure how that's possible since this is a REIT, so if you guys do more research on this stock, let me know that down in the comments. At the time of recording, First Service was trading 12.69% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of June 30th with a payout date of July 8th, and looking at their chart over the past 10 years, they would have taken a lump sum $10,000 investment while only reinvesting dividends since then and turned that into $73,386.29, which outperformed the S&P 500 by $40,084.77. Next up on this week's list, coming in at number 4, is Nutrien, stock ticker NTR. Including today's video, this is now the third time I've spoken about this stock in this series, including 2 selections in a row. And if you go back to the first time I spoke about it, which was in episode 93 or March 22nd of 2024, NTR is averaging over 18% per year since that first mention, which is outperforming the S&P 500 in that same time frame. So let's learn some more about this one. NTR is a quarterly payer in the material sector, paying $2.18 per share per year with a forward dividend yield at 3.58%. NTR has been paying and growing their dividend for the last 8 years. Their dividend growth rates are a little bit lower than I like, with a 3-year dividend growth rate of 5.2%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 4%, and the payout ratio is creeping up there a little bit at 53.53%, but you guys will see why I still like this stock, and it came in at number 4 here in 1 second. At the time of recording, Nutrien was trading 6.36% off of its 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of June 30th with a payout date of July 18th, and here's what I was talking about earlier. Over the last 8.42 years, so a little bit under 8.5 years, Nutrien has turned that $10,000 investment into $111,636.59, which outperformed the S&P 500 in the same time frame by $81,456.20. So those lower dividend growth rates and higher payout ratio might be worth it with this one. Next up on this week's list with the bronze medal, first one on the podium, is Heiko, stock ticker HEI. Including today's video, this is now the 4th time I've spoken about this stock right here on my channel, including 1 selection in a row. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about it, which was way back in episode 29 or December 30th of 2022, HEI has returned over 100% on your investment since that first mention, and it could still have more in the tank. So let's take a look here. HEI is a semi-annual payer in the industrial sector, paying 24 cents per share per year with a forward dividend yield of just 0.08%. HEI has been paying and growing its dividend over the last 21 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 6.92%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 7.97%, and it is super sustainable because the payout ratio sits at just 4.68%. Now, at the time of recording, HEICO was trading just 0.47% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of July 1st with a payout date of July 15th. And looking at their chart back to a 10-year time frame, they would have turned that $10,000 lump sum investment into $103,596.02, which outperforms the S&P 500 by $70,294.50. And really quick, before we get to the last two stocks in today's video, if you guys wouldn't mind using the comment section down below, as that helps me grow the channel the most. You guys can let me know what you think of the stocks from this week's list, if you own any of the stocks from this week's list and how they're doing for you, or if you guys do research on any of the stocks from today's video, let me know what you find down below. But now, let's get to the last two stocks. Next up on the podium, getting the silver medal in this week's video, coming in at number 2, is Quanta Services, stock ticker PWR. Including today's video, this is now the 4th time I've spoken about this stock right here in this series, including one selection in a row. And if you go back to the very first time I spoke about it, which was in episode 95, or April 5th of 2024, PWR just passed the 30% annualized return since then. And I never hear this one mentioned on other channels, so let's learn some more about it right here. PWR is a quarterly payer in the industrial sector, paying 40 cents per share per year with a forward dividend yield of just 0.11%. PWR has been paying and growing its dividend over the last 7 years. They have a 3-year dividend growth rate of 13.97%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 16.83%, and that is super sustainable because they have a low payout ratio at 3.38%. Now, at the time of recording, Quanta Services was trading 1.69% off of their 52-week high. They have an ex-dividend date of July 1st with a payout date of July 11th. And looking at this chart, this is a 10-year time frame. PWR would have turned that $10,000 investment into $120,843.83, which outperformed the S&P 500 by $87,542.31. And here we go. You made it to the number 1 stock on this week's list, the stock you guys must know about going into next week, and that is Monolithic Power Systems, stock ticker MPWR. Including today's video, this is now the 8th time I've spoken about this stock in this series, including 6 selections in a row. And if you go way back to the first time I spoke about it in episode 2 or June 23rd of 2022, MPWR is outperforming since that first mention. And while over the long term, you will soon see that that isn't that surprising, but over the short term, that's kind of wild, and I want to show you why. MPWR is a quarterly payer in the technology sector, paying $6.24 per share per year with a forward dividend yield of 0.91%. MPWR has been paying and growing their dividend for the last 8 years, and they do so rapidly with a 3-year dividend growth rate of 27.7%, a 5-year dividend growth rate of 25.59%, and it's sustainable because they have a payout ratio sitting at 31.43%. And here's what I was alluding to earlier. It's wild that MPWR is still outperforming the S&P 500 over the short time frame I mentioned earlier, despite being down 28.53% off of its 52-week high. MPWR has that ex-dividend date of June 30th with a payout date of July 15th. And looking at their chart, this is why it's not surprising long term. MPWR would have taken a single $10,000 investment and turned it into $137,110.77, which outperforms the S&P 500, the thing most investors underperform, by $103,809.25. And with that, you guys now know 5 fantastic dividend stocks that could be the next best stock in your portfolio. But before you go, you guys have to remember these 3 dates. This video comes out on June 27th of 2025. The earliest ex-dividend date from this video is on June 30th of 2025, meaning your decision is going to be due by the day this video comes out on June 27th of 2025, or you'll be waiting around for 3 months for your first payment from 60% of this week's list. And Sweet Brown once said, "Ain't nobody got time for that." And as a quick reminder, the market does close early this coming Thursday, July 3rd, and is closed all day on Friday, July 4th for Independence Day here in the United States. With that being said, you 100% missed every ex-dividend date from last week's list. But if you're still in the market for 5 super high quality dividend stocks, you can check that video out right here. But until next time, see you.